Welcome back to the 2 Months Podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Marshall. I got my co-host Phil Stockley with us tonight. Clay Vanderham is in the beautiful state of in the U.S., so he's busy tonight. But we have two great guests. So I don't know who to go first. Do I go with the most games played first, or do I leave the most games played after? But we got two.
Go with the most successful realtor. That's
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So we'll lead with a great guest. He's been on with us several times. He's a beauty, and everyone knows good Melwoods boy. We have Vernon Fiddler. Fids, how's it going?
Good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. And the other voice you heard was another good Melwoods boy, and Jason Chimera. Chimmer, how's it going?
Good, buddy. Yeah, thanks for having us. This is awesome.
No worries. So episode 200, before we kind of get into everything, guys, it's pretty crazy that you guys been a huge part of this, and we've got to kind of this point with this podcast and everything you guys done to help us out. But there's a lot of great podcasts out there too, but obviously Missing Curfew, they're actually at the same episode as us, 199, and their next episode is going to be 202. So it's kind of cool that around the same time. But I guess we'll kind of just maybe jump into a little bit of a podcast thing. Fids, to you, obviously you're good friends with Uppy and Obes and those guys there, but how do you view this podcast situation going on in the game today, and getting the knowledge out there, obviously with Spit and Chicklets too, and then our fun little podcast here? Is it pretty cool? Do you get a chance to listen to some of them when you get the opportunity to, from traveling?
Yeah, it is. The podcast theme of things. When I retired, you thrive on listening to stories in dressing rooms, and you knew guy would come in and you're like, all right, I hope this guy's got some new stories, because I've heard the same ones for the last 5 years. And the same theme with these podcasts is you can be sitting in your car driving and going in traffic and listening to stories, and there's a lot of stuff that hits home, because a lot of the stories are the same, but it's always cool to hear different stories from different guys, and you get a good chuckle out of it. Makes a car ride go a little bit quicker, and or even some of the guys you hear these stories that you're part of, and I forget about some of this stuff, and I hear it on a podcast, and it's like, oh, I forgot that even happened. But it's cool to listen to the different guys, and as the game changes a little bit with the youth, you hear some of these young guys' stories, but it's fun to listen to the Missing Curfew, Spit and Chicklets, your guys' podcast. I enjoy them all, and I think it's great that the fans get to listen to some of the stuff that they shouldn't, they never get a chance to listen to, or we're in the dressing room, we get to hear all kinds of good stories and stuff like that. So I get a kick out of it, and I think it's great for not only the game, but it's great for the guys to be able to tell some stories too.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's pretty sweet. So, Chimmer, your thoughts, kind of the same question to you. What's your take on this, and what do you get a chance to listen to when you're traveling and flying and driving?
Well, I don't fly too much, but yeah, so driving, but I think it's cool that you there's so many stories out there that, like Fid says, that people don't really hear of. And I think before you were told just to shut up and not tell anybody anything, so now everyone's hearing these stories for the first time. It's pretty cool. Like Fid says, there's probably a lot of stuff that doesn't get mentioned on the podcast for sure, but some of the stories out there, they're pretty funny. Like Fids, I don't remember half these things, and then they come up and like, oh shit, that did happen. Yeah, that was. And then you remember the whole night like it was yesterday. So I think it was, but some of the stuff is pretty crazy. But I think it's tamer now. I think that the league's a little tamer, maybe a little now. The stories maybe not so great anymore, but the ones that are always walking a line are probably the best stories you can hear, because you really don't get to hear those ones. And I think like back in the day, I remember I was in Columbus. I said I had a beer with the boys, and Doug McLean gave me shit, and me and Doug laugh about that today. But he's just like, he's like, you can't say that on the, like, why? You can't say like having a beer with the boys. But now it's like they're telling all these stories about the parties and Uppy getting knocked out of the house by you, I think was Fizz on the podcast.
That was hilarious.
And then you could picture how that night went with that guy. So it was like you could just picture those, like that's the stuff that fans love to hear, and I think that's what makes a podcast great.
Yeah, How do you want to kind of elaborate a little bit on that story, Fitz? Like,
well, the part that left out, and I told Uppy that I'd come on there eventually and tell the real story, but all I heard was the vibrating phone. So like it was his alarm going off because he was supposed to work out with me, but he didn't obviously make the missed curfew.
Yeah.
I told him, like, if you're not home by this time, like the door is locked. Like we got young kids. I can't, I can't have you coming in and out. You can stay with us. But the best part about that story was I lived on a hill in the Mission in Kelowna, and it was probably like, I mean, this hill would, like, we used to run up it to train, but like to ride a bike, you had to walk the bike. And the bike that he got home on had no rubber on the rims. It was just like straight metal. So how he accomplished that all and left that best part out of the story, I to this day I'm like, well, I don't know why he wouldn't bring that up, but
yeah,
I mean, he was a real treat. Like they called him Dupree. You remember that movie, You, Me, and Dupree? And when we went back to Nashville that year, Trotzy called him Dupree because he'd moved himself in with us. But Uppy's the best. He's always full of energy and great with the kids and wife. And there's plenty more stories I could tell, but I mean, we'd probably need 4 or 5 hours. He was a gem to play with, and still chat with him, a couple times a month and catch up. So.
I kind of want to get a little bit into that before we get into your kids, but like obviously you're good friends with PK and you saw what he was doing at the Stampede and stuff like that, but you're good friends with Biz, but also missing curfew and like Obes and Uppy, and we'll get your thoughts on this too, Chimera, but what they're doing with the NHL Network, NHL on TNT, how they're growing the game in that way. What's your thoughts? Because we just had Luch on and he talked about how brilliant that is to add those, ingredients into kind of the new age of hockey and watching the games. What's your thoughts on that, Fitz?
Yeah, I think it's great. Like, these guys that have been in the trenches and they know what are all the ins and outs are. Like the people the people don't want to talk about a system and what is going on in the game. Like people watch for a good hockey game, but they watch for info that they'd never know of. And the info, like even I was watching the playoffs and they were going to like double overtime and they were talking about what goes on in the dressing room. Like most people would just think you just sit there and but there's food coming in and there's like I remember just listening to Biz and he was talking about like how you haven't eaten since like noon. You eat your pregame meal at noon, and like it's the next day talking about the next day throws you off, like things like that. That's what I would want to hear watching those games. Like I don't want to hear about, oh, they're doing a 1-3-1. Like these people watch the game, but they're not interested in that. They're interested in all the details of what these guys are wearing nowadays and what they're driving and what their style. Like they're interested more in the personality, and by bringing like PK and Paul and all the retired guys, they give you insight of actually what all the details are of everything and not just the game. And I think that's what's really intriguing to people watching the TV stations and TNT and all these TV stations. I think that's what they want to hear. They want to hear the stories in between the periods, and because it's entertainment, they get teasing each other and they get chirping each other. Like that's what I watch for. Like if like I saw Anson Carter, he couldn't get a sentence out to one of the interviews, and they just like you could just see them all laughing, and they just couldn't wait to get back to the interview and being over just to rip on Anson, and he knew it. Yeah. But like that's entertainment to me, and I think it's great. They've done a really good job with bringing in all these guys that have personality. Correct. That laugh and can make fun of themselves, and it makes it much more enjoyable for. I mean, I know watching the playoffs, I look forward to the intermission show more than parts of the game because I knew it was going to be entertaining. So I think they're going in the right direction and getting all these guys that, like old timers out of the, off the TV, that bringing in the young youth that is there for energy and insight towards the stories that you actually want to hear.
Yeah, that's perfect. And Chimera, your thoughts kind of on this topic and how you see it growing in such a great way too?
Well, I think along the lines of Fids, back when we were watching CBC, used to watch Coach's Corner just for Don Cherry. What do you say? And and whether you love him or you hate him, he was always an entertainment in between. I remember as a young kid watching Coach's Corner. I remember those episodes with him and Ron McLean, and how intriguing they were and how funny they were just to listen. Him and Ron go back and forth. You can see Ron roll his eyes sometimes when Don says something, and the same kind of banter with those guys. I think Kevin. I know Kevin BX a bit. He does a really good job on CBC there, and they seem to be having a little more fun with it. They're not so robotic anymore. It's just more off the cuff, and like with Biz and Gretzky and talking to those guys, Hansen and those guys on TNT. It makes for entertainment, and people love the intermissions now. Like before, they probably just turn off and go grab a beer, wait for the period to start. But I think more people tune in for intermissions just because of those guys. And like Fizz says, the entertainment's great, and the knowledge they have, and just kind of the inside stories they tell. I think that's what they want to hear.
Yeah. You hit on a good point too, guys. Is like just the personality part of it is like that's a big part of the game that might not be there as much as it was when you guys played. Like it was probably more like you look at the great names like Steve Ott and even you Fids in your time and Chimera during your time. Like I don't know how many of those guys are around now. Like I heard Ryan Reeves talk about this on John Scott's podcast. He's like it just seems to be like the last few guys that are the fighters are the guys with the personalities, and the star guys might not have all of that too. So we'll see how that kind of changes if it grows a little bit more. But Phil,
they used to back when I think Fitz could attest to this. Like when we first started NHL, like it was fun. Like you had like not to say we party all the time, but guys would be out there, and we go to you go to a city and regularly you drop your bag in 5 minutes and probably 15 guys would go for a beer. Yeah. Just have and go hang out. Now, and I remember in Edmonton, they had beers in the room after the game. You had, instead of shakes, they had, we'd have these guys sit around, have a beer after, and now you hear the blenders the blenders start going, and the only guys I can have a beer with were the trainers back when at the end of my career. I had to go back and with the skate trip, all the guys in the back and have a beer with the old guys back there. So that's it's become. It was nice to see I think people forget the hockey's still fun. You still got to enjoy it. I think it's become real. I mean, the money's great, but those are the times you remember having beers with the guys and shooting a shit with the trainer in the back, having a beer with him. And it's that's the stuff you miss. And that's the stuff I think you really cherish. As time goes by, you're like, Jesus, I miss that stuff. That's for sure.
Yeah. Phil, you have anything before we kind of move on?
No, just like kind of the same thing, like looping back around. It's like I was listening to Missing Curfew last week, and somebody called in and said, it's like being in the locker room, and you guys would know better than me, like listening to Spittin' Chicklets and maybe our podcast and Missing Curfew, and even like watching those guys in the intermission. It must be like being in the locker room, like you're ribbing each other, you're giving each other a hard time. Like Fids, you were just saying about Anson Carter, like they just couldn't wait to get their jabs in on him. But yeah, it must be pretty similar, like maybe a little bit tamer language, but
we need to swear probably a little bit more on this pod. So, but if any of that's one feedback that we don't get, we probably should do just to be a little.
We get feedback saying we need to swear more.
Yeah, you don't ever swear though, Phil. It's always a buck when you swear. It always goes in the swear jar.
Yeah.
So you
need to swearing here, but
the funniest thing is coaching. You're trying to coach kids now, and coaches would always be like, fuck this in the dressing room. And then now I'm trying to articulate my thoughts in the dressing room. And all I got to think of is with these 15-year-old and 13-year-old girls is I'm like, fuck you. And the girls are like, what?
What?
They're like, what? Yeah. You got to fucking go. You got to compete.
It's like watching Bruce Boudreau, like on those Heritage Classic ones, like, holy geez, like the air is blue in there.
I was in that dressing room for that speech.
Yeah.
How was that, Chimera?
Oh, it was awesome. He came in. It was just like, he knew it was coming too, because he gets all in front of his face. And every second word out of Bruce knows when he comes is it's like, oh, fucking, surely, fuck, we can handle this.
That's hilarious.
You're gonna have to put a disclaimer on the beginning of this episode, boss.
We always do anyway, so we'll be okay. So Chimmer, talk about your kids. Like, how's the year gone? It's obviously summertime, but how is the hockey year for them and yourself and the coaching and where things at now, and what kind of stuff were you guys doing during the summertime to kind of stay into it and stay active, and anything you're working on?
Yeah, well, my daughter had one of those it's like kind of brick series for the girls at the West Hamilton Mall. We finished second, but they're a group of 2010 girls. So, but just from all over the province. So I think it's just these girls are outstanding. It's called the Alberta Warriors Student Organization, but it's just like these girls are outstanding to coach. They're just their attention to like detail and fun and listening, and they're just and their work ethic was unbelievable. We lost in overtime, 1-0, double overtime to Connecticut, but the girls deserved to win. We outshot them lots, and their goalie played outstanding. So, but it's just such a fun group. I didn't coach girls till like last spring. We had this team too, and it just I don't know. Some of the girls they love the game for the right reason, and there's really no notion of making NHL. But now with those pathways of the older girls, having a new league and CBA, and it kind of gives them a platform and stuff to look forward to when they grow older. So hopefully that keeps on going, and hopefully that grows for those. So, but that was fun, and right now you kind of try to stay away from the rink as much as possible. I know, Fids has got the stuff with his kids, but like it's kind of I think Fids could test. We really never did anything in the summer. We just played soccer and kind of ran around. And Mill Woods, we just kind of probably parents couldn't afford training. We just kind of played. We're just like, what was training?
Go the BMX track.
The BMX track, yeah, the BMX track. My park, yeah. Go play mini golf. That was a training. Yeah, but so you try to get them away from the rink too, so they love coming to the rink as well.
Yeah. And your son, like, how things with him, and is he staying pretty busy too?
Yeah, he's getting a good little golfer. He's we finished like a camp, just a skating camp with Brian Shackle is his name, and he does some stuff with Quantum too. So that's kind of all wrapped up, and just kind of now he's just playing some golf. He'll be going to OHA next year again. He's U17 next year, so he'll be going OHA to play there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Fids, obviously the big news with your kid Blake, and how exciting was that for you and the family, and kind of a lot of support online from it too, and just kind of the progression that he's made to date.
Yeah, it's super exciting. We the U.S. Hockey does a really good job. They break all the regions down in districts, and they bring in the top 200 kids to Buffalo. And I tell you, I never got to represent my country, so it was super stressful for me. And I knew how bad Blake wanted it. And throughout the camp, he did really good. He got better and better as the camp went on. And it started getting a little bit more interesting at the end, because they break it down to the top 40 kids, and now you're like, okay, now you've got a 50% chance, because he's a D man, so there's 12 D left, and they're gonna pick 6 to go overseas. So it was like, Chimera can probably attest to this. I coach, so I'm always on the bench, and you can give them a little bit of feedback, but when you're in the stands, you have no impact, right? Like you have zero impact, and it's more stressful because for the forwards, I can go to them and say, hey, listen, they're doing this or that. Or, for the D, I can say, listen, they're coming at you hard, use the weak side. But this, you have no impact. At one point, for the final game, I had a coffee and kind of sitting on my own. And Blake went out there for a shift and got off. And I was like, okay, that was decent. And I went to reach for my coffee, and my coffee was about 7 feet down. So down for me. So I was really moving, stick handling. So it was, but you
have no control over it, right? It's just like that's you're just like it's just like you're helpless. So yeah.
So when they finally picked the team, I was just so proud of them, and to represent your country is a whole nother level, and it's just one of those things where it doesn't matter. I'm Canadian and he's American, so. It doesn't matter what color he wears, I'll support him, and we're looking forward to going over to Czech here at the end of the month and supporting him, and hopefully bring back a gold.
USA
awesome,
hockey's been a big part for you in your career. Like all those places you played and whatnot. Like it's been pretty cool to kind of see the progression, because I know last August when I saw Jason Spezza at the Helenka Gretzky Cup, and I brought your name up, I was just kind of sitting in the stands with him, and as soon as I brought your name up, he just lit up like a Christmas tree. And then we talked about Blake, and just he's like, man, he's going to be a hell of a player. So that must be pretty cool to kind of hear those kind of stories with guys that, you know, Blake was able to meet during your career too, right?
Yeah. Well, it's great too. Like the southern states, like, you know, even with the finals this year, like having, you know, two teams, like untraditional teams, even the Final Four or four, you know, not non-traditional hockey markets. So to see the South and the programs that they have in Dallas have given these boys opportunities to, you know, that they wouldn't get if they're in Canada. They're making it just as good, or if not better. We have, you know, the luxury of tons of ice, and in Dallas alone, we have 13 sheets of ice. So, you know, the opportunity these boys are getting in the southern states are it's incredible. And you know, we have a lot of traditional sports here too, with baseball and you know, football and things like that, but hockey's getting right up there. So between the rink and the dancing, where my daughter just finished dance nationals in Vegas, they were out there for 11 days, so she's competing in that too. So you know, she's striving in that. And you know, we're full-time Uber drivers. One's going one way, one's going the other way, or flying this city or that city. So, you know, it's fun and it keeps us busy. And, you know, it doesn't last forever. We're trying to brace for Blake leaving home this year and going up to, at least he's going up to Edmonton, where we're familiar. There's tons of family there, but, you know, it's going to be a huge adjustment for everybody, not only my wife and I, but my daughter too.
Yeah.
But we're excited, and hopefully, you know, just take it day by day and get through the first couple months and hope for the best.
Yeah. How cool was it to kind of see Joe McGinley's kid get drafted by the Oil Kings too? I don't know if you guys cross paths a lot. Obviously in your playing career you did, but you know, I know he's a Kelowna guy. You were a Kelowna guy for a bit there, but you know, I don't know if you ever seen his son Joe play at all, and how cool that is.
Yeah, it was cool. We crossed paths. We weren't the greatest of friends up until about 2 years ago, when we met up in Kelowna, and our boys were actually plan on playing together. But yeah, obviously great hockey guy, and you know, both his boys are doing great, and you know, it's pretty cool to have another guy that, you know, has had a good NHL career with his son coming in with the Oil Kings. And you know, hopefully you know, down the road the boys will be playing together, and we can hash out some of the things that happened on the ice.
Yeah.
But Jerome's a really good guy, and you know, he's obviously, I think he's moved into a management position with Calgary now. So
yeah,
I'll be interested to see how that all plays out.
Yeah, well, Phil will probably ask you some questions on that. But Chimera, I know this one probably means a lot to you too, and a good friend of yours will kind of move over to a little bit of NHL stuff. But Joel Ward going behind the bench with the Vegas Golden Knights, and you know, a former line mate and teammate, and a good friend of yours. But how cool is it to see him, you know, kind of get into the NHL again, and you know, did his time with the Henderson Knights there.
Yeah, he's kind of come full circle, because he worked out his way from CIAU to play in the NHL. Now he's worked his way up through AHL to be at NHL. So he's a, you know, good things happen to great people, and he's one of the best I've ever met in the game, and just an outstanding individual. You can't say enough good things about Joel. So I think he'd be perfect in that role, assistant coach role, because he's a pretty good listener, a pretty good guy to you know, pick your brain about or chat things over, see what he feels, and he'd probably ask more questions than he'd dictate to people. I think you just kind of listen to someone and try to figure out a solution together instead of just tell people what to do. I think the modern age player likes to have a voice and likes to have a say in what they're doing. I think Joel will be really good at that. And then, you know, like I said, it couldn't happen to a better guy, and pretty proud of that guy, because he's a really good individual.
Yeah, well said. Phil, you have some NHL stuff you wanted to shoot to the guys here?
Well, I was actually going to ask these guys. So Jason, you got a chance to play in Edmonton. Fizz, you didn't play in Edmonton. So I was going to ask you, like, Fid, did you ever want to play in Edmonton, or was it ever close to you coming to Edmonton or anything like that?
Yeah, actually, the year I signed a 3-year in Dallas, they offered me the same contract. And it was funny when the Oil Kings drafted Blake. Kevin Lowe picked us up from the hotel the first day and took us around. He said, I still don't understand why you didn't sign here, but I knew it would be way too expensive with all my family and friends to, supply the tickets. And it was actually my dad that talked me out of it. I was all for it. And my dad said, you've been down in the US and you guys got a good thing going there. This is just going to add so much more pressure to you. And I really mulled that over the course of the night. I remember I didn't sleep that night because that was my biggest dream ever, to play for the Edmonton Oilers come play for your hometown, wear the jersey that you grew up watching. But I trust me, there's times where I'm like, I should have done it, but I was super close. I didn't have the honor of doing that, but I was pretty lucky. I got to play in Nashville, Arizona, Dallas, and back to Nashville.
Your dad probably sent you the tax rates on Edmonton versus Dallas. So he's like,
that
you sign in
came
Dallas.
up in the conversation.
Yes.
My mom's like, oh, you could come live at home and back in Mill Woods, and like it's just gonna be outdoor, right? Like you just gotta do it. I don't think
she's like, please come home, please come home.
Yeah.
League Gardens every night. So.
Oh yeah.
League, yeah.
It's funny you say
so
that
then
because like Ryan O'Reilly just I think he did some interview and he kind of talks about that, like him going to Toronto was more of a wake up call to be like the demand for like tickets and family and all that. He said it was a little bit overwhelming for kind of his nature. So it's interesting you kind of say that too in a way that could have been it for you. And then when you laughed about the tickets, Chimera, you kind of chuckled there. You probably got some interesting stories of how that worked.
Yeah. So what was it like playing for the hometown Oilers?
Well, it was good, but I like Fizz said, and his dad probably put the bulls correctly. There's so much pressure from like friends and family to get tickets, even though there is, and there's a lot of friends that you think you didn't have, all of a sudden you have some friends that that are trying to cling on and get some tickets and stuff. And everyone used to, but it was fun. It was fun to play here, I think. But like, it would have been better. Like Fizz, how old you would have signed here? Probably older.
I would have been
like
31.
30s. Yeah, so it would have been a little bit better there because I think you were a little more mature to handle it. But I think I was younger and I wasn't ready for the limelight or the attention I think you get from it. I think everywhere you go, you're the man, and that for a young kid, it kind of, for better or worse, it kind of went to my head a bit, and he kind of wasn't the person I wanted to be. I think, when you're a little more mature, I think you had a little better. But it was good because I bought my family season tickets, my brother and sister, my mom and dad, and for them to get to see me play every night in NHL, that was pretty cool. I think that was really a blessing there because as Fizz knows, you're nowhere without your parents. Especially our parents didn't have a lot of money, and a lot of money went to us kids playing sports. And I think all their last dollar went to us playing sports. And I can remember my dad coming home and at 6 o'clock at night and driving us right to hockey, and didn't even shower. So I think it's you owe a lot to your parents and what they did for you when you're younger. It's this, and now it comes full circle. You're, like you said, we're the Uber driver now. We're feeling like, holy smokes, and the price of stuff and the price of hockey. And not that I'm cheap, but I'm Ukrainian. I'm like, geez, this is crazy. Goddamn, I should have stockpiled some old CCM sticks that are like $400 a pop at the like, what the fuck is a stick?
Yeah.
It's got a good kick point.
All the kids be like, what stick's that?
Yeah, like what's
from like 2002.
I still don't even know what the kick point is, for frick's sake. Dump it in, right, Fitz? That's all the kick point we need.
I hear you, boys. I just paid the bill for my boys' hockey. I got 2 boys in minor hockey, and my jaw hit the ground when I saw the total. I was like, geez.
I know.
And they got to get equipment and sticks, and and then we're like rural Alberta, so then we're traveling every weekend and going to tournaments. So But, you know, I'm not going to complain because Fed's just kind of told us his son's schedule this summer. It's probably a little further than I'm going to go, but, you know.
Yeah,
well, the best was I bought a pair of skates the other day from Pro Skate. I was like, I don't know, $750 for these mock Bauer skates, and I asked them what kind of blades they come with. What the fuckers don't even come with blades anymore?
No, you got to buy those too.
You got to buy the steel, and of course you need 2 or 3 sets, and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Good thing you didn't jump on the ice without them, eh?
Yeah, well, they had these little plastic holders on the bottom. You guys like they're plastic. I'm like, what the? This is unbelievable. But
times have changed, eh?
Yeah, times have changed. You know, the old wood blades.
Yeah, the old wood blades.
Did you guys use the wood blades when you first came in, or were they pretty much transitioned over?
I had the old 2-piece when I started. Yeah, in Edmonton. Yeah,
you and Ryan Smith.
I think it was a Coho Corby. I think it was the shaft, and yeah, Ryan Smith, the big greatest Canadian ever, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Good old Nashville guy now, I guess.
Yeah.
What about you, Fids? What was your first pro stick?
My first pro, I used the 2-piece butterscotch Easton with Easton Lidstrom, heel curve blade. And then my first or second, I think it was first year pro, I tried one of those, the first Gray Synergy, and I was just like, I don't even know if I liked it. I just thought it was like, the tits. So I just used it. It didn't really, it didn't matter what stick I used. Trust me.
It's all between the ears, right, boys?
Yeah. For me and Fitz, when they're asking what curve we want, just give us a goddamn curve. Let's just go.
Did you guys like walk up and down the stick like all the other players' sticks, and you're like, oh, can I try your stick out? Like, like.
I did. I did use it. Yeah, I did for the couple curves. Well, I used to use a heel curve too when I first started with Fids. I used a heel curve till Adam Oates was my coach. I had to change. So
yeah, he's
OT changed.
He's resurrected some pretty good careers here. Like even Luke Shen's career, what Adam Oates has been able to do. Do you think that's kind of there's going to be more guys like that in the game? Or is that kind of the main guy that you think people will go to? Or
I think there's there's more and more of those guys coming out of the woodwork, which I think it could be good and bad, because your coach is your coach, and then you got some guy doing video with you on the side. I don't know, there could be a little bit of conflict of interest with it, but I mean, it's no different than getting help from your dad or something, I guess.
Yeah.
But you don't see a whole bunch of guys doing it, but there are guys that are using those guys, and seems to be working for some guys. But
yeah,
I don't know. As a coach,
I think it's a lot of, like, you coach a lot of these kids, and you could tell right away who has hockey sense and who doesn't, and who really gets the game. And I mean, I always tell people you can't buy a hockey player. Like, those guys are in NHL for a reason, and you could tell right away when you're young who has hockey sense and who gets the game and who gets concepts. And some kids just don't get it. I think it's just the way it is. I think it's just, I mean, some kids are more in tune to being coached and being coachable, and just having that. And like Fitz says, sometimes less is more, because then you ruin the kid's actual athleticism and his natural instincts out there when he's just thinking about video. And I wasn't a huge fan of video. I think it's kind of ruins a lot of things sometimes. I think, and then I think the game's become a little too robotic in that way. So
you got to move down to the U.S., Chimera, because I was watching this tournament, like this U.S. development tournament. I watched 2 games where a puck wasn't dumped one time in the whole game. I was just like, it was just like the amount of plays are made at the blue line. I think it's good. I mean, I think you're right, Chimmer. There's a lot of robotic going on, and I think if you have a lot of the issues with hockey is you're stuck in a system, and then you think too much, and then you just don't read and react, and then you don't play your game, because majority of kids, if you give them too much information, then they're on their heels. They're like, should I go or shouldn't I go? If you can just read and react, tons of pressure in that, I think you'll find way more kids that can play the game as opposed to kids that are stuck in a system. But you know, I've been more involved with the USA Hockey since I've been down here, and I mean, I've seen a little bit of Hockey Canada too, but I think it's a good thing when kids don't get too much, because you get stuck in, like you said, being a robot and not making a read and react on a play where your coach is telling you to do this, and that's the only way to do it, like a Ken Hitchcock, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I agree with that. Like, you find a hockey player, you when you see when you take your hockey, you know, your hockey team out, you can tell right away who's got it and who watches the game and who loves it and who's a star of the game. Then there's kids that are just kamikazes and all over the place. You know, it's great too. There's room for everybody, but you can tell, like, I think it's easy to weed out those kids that don't know what is going on or really care to know what's going on.
Yeah, that's the.
So Clay Vanderham just made like a Stone Cold Steve Austin appearance here, just like mid-match, just came out, gave him a stunner. So Vandy,
listen,
that's a fine. 40 minutes late, big cheer.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I caught 3/4, but I caught the tail end of that conversation, and here. I don't know if we can make sense of this, but so I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana for an inline roller hockey tournament. And we have, I think Alberta has probably 4 or 5 teams. And like Ohio has a bunch of teams, Wisconsin. And we're getting pumped by teams from Missouri. And I just caught the tail end when you guys were talking about structure and too much, and you know, dump and chase and that. I think if I caught the gist of it, I watch these, like Missouri has an unbelievable. My kids' age group is 08, and they have an unbelievable 08 team, and they it's all about possession, and I think, I don't know how to explain this, but like inline is east-west and hockey is north-south. And when you watch Ohio, Wisconsin, the hockey, Minnesota, they're north-south. And I think even ice hockey's going that way, where it's going east-west, where everybody's kind of rotating, if that makes sense. Or not rotating. And the wine may be kicking in. I apologize for that, but
did he freeze up?
No, he didn't know where he was going, so he just froze up.
He's thinking.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, am I making sense? Probably not. I guarantee I'm not. But I'm just saying, like, I'm at this. It's State of the Wars, State Wars, inline, Fort Wayne, Indiana, and it's. I mean, I'm blown away by how crazy they are about inline down here, and then I start watching it as a coach, or you know, I want to learn about inline, and I want to bring it back to Canada, and I'm watching these Florida and Missouri and Tennessee, and they got New York, they got good teams, and I'm like, what? And that, like, a majority of the kids don't even play ice hockey. And I'm like, okay, well, how did they even learn about this? And then why can't our kids learn about it? And why can't? And then here's the other thing. I know I'm going on a rant. I'm sorry, but they want to know about our kids playing ice hockey. Like, you play ice hockey? How is that? And I'm watching my kids interact with other kids, and it's kind of neat, but
just tell them it's very expensive.
Yeah.
Well, that could be why they're not playing, right? But yeah, I mean, if I was reading you guys correct, it was about possession and how the game, you're not dump and chase anymore. Where our kids, you know, our Alberta kids, we get the puck and we get pressured in line, and we want to get rid of it right away.
Yeah,
we want to pump it off the glass. chip and chase, let's go after it, north south, where these kids are like taking it behind the net and they slow. And we got like there's kids on these teams that are playing on like 3 different teams. I'm like, how
Yeah,
the
but if you look at the game in essence, if you look at the game in the playoffs, the game's still the same. It's still
yeah,
how you can manage the puck, how you can like I'm not saying like dump and chase, but you can. I think possession is you still can dump the puck in to get it back. Like that's not losing possession of it. Like if you're just dumping and chasing the dump and chase it, then that's stupid. But like I think there's a way to blend the old school and the new school. I do believe you have to have possession in it, but that's just all being comfortable on your edges and protecting the puck on the boards and not throwing the pucks away and waiting for support and where your support is. And there's ways to blend the old with the new. I think. I mean, I've never been a fan of East-West game because I think I've always been a North-South kind of guy, but I think there's a way to, and roller hockey is totally different than ice hockey. I think it's a, right.
Like
so, and I think it's a different game. But so I still think there's room for the old school, but not like old school to a fact where like Fids and me were saying, you get so locked up in a system that that's all you're doing. There's no read and react, and kids are not ad-libbing out there. And what they should be doing is like, then as maybe Fizz can help me on this one too, but like puck support's a big thing. Knowing where to be and why, and know where the good ice is instead of the open ice. Like, don't just go to open ice. Like, where's the good ice? Where do I gotta get to? Where's my buddy at? Like, that kind of stuff's kind of, the kids have kind of gotten robotic where they just stand in a spot or not even help their buddy out. They kind of, so there's ways to blend the old with the new. I feel. I don't know about you, Fids.
Yeah, I agree. You have to have a bit of both. But Bandy, I can't believe it sometimes. Like we go to these tournaments out east, or and it's a little bit different up in Minnesota, up north, but it's a little bit same as Canada. But it's a puck possession game. But like you said, Chimera, it's puck possession, but it's major puck support too. So you always have speed around the puck. So when you're not quite dumping it like we used to. You're dumping it into an area where you're going to possess with a purpose, correct? And you're going to get the puck back because your system is puck pursuit and puck placement rather than the old traditional. Hey, let's dump it in and just motherfuck everybody below the goal line, and then get everybody caught in the zone, and then there's odd man rush as well. I've seen teams even circle back at the blue if they have nothing. They refuse to dump the puck, but they do manage it a little bit differently, where they're placing it in places where they can possess the puck back quick rather than chase it down. And nowadays you have to, because these D can move the puck so well and skate so well and make plays down low. Where when we were playing, it was whoever was the biggest kid that couldn't skate, you're gonna go play and
dump it in there.
Now you got to be smart with the puck placement and pursuit, because that's the only way you're going to get the puck back. So that's a whole nother episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Is there a team that you guys think does it the best, or a group of teams? Like I know Dallas is pretty good with their placement and the guys that they have on their back end that can move the puck, and obviously we just seen the Vegas Golden Knights win. But is there even maybe a team that you guys even played on during your career that was one of the greats that really did it too? Chimera.
Well, like when I played the Capitals for a bit, they're like Backstrom and those guys, and Semin and Ovi, and those guys would possess the puck like no one's business. And we had Brendan Morrison was there when I first got there, and TJ Oshie was there, Troy Brower, a whole bunch of guys that like really had some and they could possess the puck along the boards and not give it away. And we were never a dump and chase team there. We always wanted to possess the puck, but like Fitz says, it was puck pursuit and how your supports. You got 4 or 5 foot passes everywhere. That now you got supports, and now you're looking fast. And it was never dump it in. You dump it into an area where you got your buddies coming over, and so it was more puck possession with a purpose. That's a big thing, I think, too.
Fitz, yourself?
Yeah, a lot of it too comes from like I talked about these D. it's not the chip off the glass anymore. Like these deer, it starts in your own end with the good outlet pass and then speed through the neutral zone and transition, or on a regroup where a D is not just jamming it up the boards and you're chipping it and chasing it. Like these guys are making quality plays to the wingers that are collecting the puck with speed. And now there's opportunity for guys to support you and make those plays at the blue, like these Backstroms and high end skill guys. So I believe it starts in your own end with these good puck moving D-men, like even like Vegas, like they're big, strong guys, but all of those 6D could move the puck well and make a play out of their own end where they're not just jamming their winger or centerman. So they could collect the puck with speed and then make those plays at the blue. So they're not dumping it and, chasing it. They're making good quality plays at the offensive blue line where they're putting the puck in areas where they can get it, possess it, puck protection down low. And then they're making those plays, and then they have the ability to get up the ice with their legs because they all can move well. Yeah. So that, they talk about that nowadays, like the fourth man is the most dangerous man because you beat someone up the ice. So, I think the game's in a good spot. The teams that can figure that out, like Dallas is another team, they can move the puck well. They have their top four can really scoot, and they can join the rush so that it makes them a little bit more dangerous, but it starts coming out of their end. They got clean exits coming out of their end, and it makes it a lot easier for the forwards. We used to get passes in our skates and off the glass, go chase it, and it's just a different game, which it's fun to watch. Like I've never watched hockey in a lower bowl of a game until basically this year. We got tickets and we go to all the games, and usually you sit and sweep, but I really enjoyed sitting in the lower bowl because you're like, fuck, these guys are fast. Like, how did I play in this league for so long? Yeah. They're just so good up that close. And obviously they're getting better and better than we were, but they also had way more coaching, and they have a skills coach and skating coaches and all this. But
yeah, we didn't have that fit. So that's bullshit. These guys got an extra. Right?
We had Ben Norvell. We had Ben Norvell.
We had to teach ourselves, buddy. We had to teach ourselves.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Or what was it? Wayne Tennant.
Larry Draper.
Oh God.
Larry Draper. Yeah.
Wayne Tennant. Yeah.
So we got just one more question before you get you guys out of here. Obviously, Edmonton Pod. Edmonton boys, all that stuff. Just a quick thought on, maybe the season and the off season. And do you think their time is now? We'll throw to you, Chimera, first and get you to finish up, Fids.
Well, let's first start. Remember when we start this, it wasn't off air, but we got to get Fids in the Millwoods Recreation Center picture up there.
Oh, fuck. Well, that's more important. That's more important.
It's more important. This is more important than the Oilers because the Jay's up there, Bowmeister and I'm up there, and we got to get Fids up there because not too many Millwoods kids make it out of there and go on to have some good careers. And Fids had a great career, and I think he deserves to get up. It's kind of in a place where no one really walks there, but it's still up there. So we need Fids up there so he could have a picture up there.
There's an actual area that he could go. So
yes, it's waiting for
it's already
waiting
there.
for
it's
him.
just blank.
It's funny you say that because we talked about moving everything down from up above to down like below because nobody walks like we used to, and now all those pictures of down there moved to like the Trinity side of like of the Trinity exit doors where nobody's allowed to go. And nowadays the kids aren't even allowed to walk there. So yeah, we've talked about doing that. And Fids, we need to get a pic.
Yeah. See it?
There, just snap a screenshot right now, Vandy, and go put it up.
Yeah. It was funny because
hashtag for Fiddler.
No, I want an action shot, either a hit or a goal, or I don't,
He's got to have a hit, goal, and then him mocking BXA, like doing the BXA kind of thing too.
What was the one where you're mocking Elaine Vigneault? Was that, or when you went by? Was that when you're mocking BXA? When you went by?
Oh yeah, he was
the warden. The warden.
Yeah,
he used to call him the warden.
Guy drove me nuts. But I will say that guy does a great job on TV. Like he
does. Yeah.
our kids are both 07s too, so we've actually played against each other, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys. We did have a couple games where we were up 7-1, and I kept putting the power play out because I
just keep rubbing it in.
Wanted to make sure and shake his hand at the end.
I love
That's
it.
awesome.
Can you grab a little tighter?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I made sure I was ready for it.
Yeah.
Like a motherfucker.
That's I think that's a good way to end episode 200 on that, guys. You know,
Then send me a pic and I'll get it.
I'm coming up on the 20th. I'm gonna bring one, and I'm just gonna go stick it on the glass, like on the trophy case. It doesn't even have to be inside.
Okay. But listen, tell me when you do it, and then I'll come grab it.
Duct tape it up.
Up there for a day, and then I'll come grab it at the end of the day.
I want to record that.
Nobody else can grab it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Doug Ockenberg walked up with me and he's like, "How the fuck is Fitz not up here?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And then I sent you the video, Fitz. I was like, "What the fuck?" You're like, "I don't fucking know." We're fucking agreeing. So, yeah.
They should have our faces on those wood carved mill wood signs somewhere, Chimmer.
Yes. Yeah.
66th Street. Like they should have our faces carved in there, like the
like Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore, yeah.
Like a Chimera way or a Fiddler way.
Yeah,
or something. That'd be right. Something.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Okay, hang on. I know Chimera way would be like Melbourne, right by Michael's Park.
Yep, I'll take it.
McDonald's, gas station. That would be Fids. I don't know where did you grow up? Hillview? Where?
No, I grew up in Crawford Plains, but I want Fiddler Street to be on Lee Gardens. What is that?
Yes.
Right by Hillview.
Yeah, Hillview.
I think it's Lee Ridge. I want to say Lee Ridge.
Lee Ridge, yeah.
Yeah, Lee Ridge.
So funny because like that picture of you, your profile picture on Instagram, I just found it online and I just was like, all Fitz was doing is telling Zdeno to try out Lee Gardens, right?
Oh yeah.
Even though as modest as Bomeister is, where would Bomeister be? Way, and we'll name it. Fuck it.
Oh, it's got to be like a quiet back, like a probably behind the rink somewhere. Probably it's nice and quiet. You know,
yeah, somewhere quiet.
Yeah.
Dan, not back road.
Yes.
You're behind the tennis courts.
Yes, right behind the tennis court. Yeah, that'd be perfect.
No, give him like 38A Ave, like not 38 Ave, but like 38A Ave.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Means a lot, and it's always nice to kind of catch up with you guys and shoot the shit, have a good conversation, and again, thanks for being a part of episode 200. You guys have been a huge part ever since we connected, and it means a lot to kind of build those friendships and good laughs, and can't wait to see you, even Fids, can't wait to see you here with your kid and stuff like that. I know you're pretty happy of Riley Fiddler Schultz and him getting a deal too, so I know maybe a quick thought on that before we go. I know you're pretty excited.
Yeah, we're super excited for Riley too. He signed a 2-year deal with Rochester in the American League, so he reminds me a lot of myself, a little bit of a late bloomer, and just such a quality kid. Like he's it's just crazy. But my nephew's 21 now, and he's going to turn pro, and I'm super proud of him. Not only for signing the contract, but just how he handles everything. And he's a strong believer in that he's going to get an opportunity. He's got to keep working, and that's the message I give him all the time. It's everyone's got their own path, and I'm hoping that he can get healthy again. He hurt his knee in the end of playoffs there, but he's getting healthy now, and he can have a strong start to the season, and looking forward to following him as well. And to you guys, thank you guys to the 200 show. This podcast is one of the only ones I'll go on because I know the quality of people that run it, and it's been a pleasure to be a part of it, and I'm looking forward to a bunch more shows.
Thanks.
Yeah, congrats, guys. This is unbelievable. You guys are at 200. It's pretty cool, and I think like Fizz says, you guys are classy guys. So it's always nice to help out fellow Edmontonians, Millwoods kids. So it's pretty fun to everyone to get together like that. So it's pretty cool to see other people. To reach 200 is pretty cool milestone for you guys. So that's awesome.
Thank you, Clay. You have anything you want to add? I know.
Clay's still is he still frozen? He might be frozen.
No, he's still thinking about his game today.
He's shut up ever since the east-west stuff.
He's thinking north, south, southwest, southeast.
Yes.
Which way?
He's got
change the game. And Chimera doesn't like it. I'm like, fuck Chimera, play.
He's gonna go northwest and southeast. That's the new style.
Yeah, that's the Draper coming out of me. Draper coaching and all. But hey, look, yeah, I wanted to be a part of this. Maybe a little lit up, but I was with a bunch of inline parents. But no, thanks for joining us, guys, and I appreciate it. And you know what? I didn't hear the beginning. How did your daughter do last weekend, Chimera?
Oh, you got to bring that up.
Oh, yeah. Thanks a lot.
Here we go.
This is really good. I just watch the goddamn podcast. Can you find out?
I'll have another one, Clay.
I didn't know. I don't. All I know, Trevor told me that.
I already cried once. I don't want to cry again, man.
All right,
guys. Have a good one, guys.
All right.
Yeah, boys.
Thanks, boys.
See you guys. Thanks.